So today joining me on Real Feel Insights is Bryan Anderson. I'm so glad that you were able to jump on board with this. Can you tell me a little bit of like where you grew up, or like you're a farmer by trade, correct? Is that
Correct.
a good way
I am.
to say it?
Yes.
I might not be a farmer now because of my occupation in the meat processing,
Sure.
but I did grow up on a farm. And I think the old saying of once a farmer or country, or once, you can't take the country out of the girl, or you can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl.
Correct.
Still
Yeah.
rings true for me.
I grew up on a farm that I'm the sixth generation now. We celebrated our 150th anniversary of continuously farming in the same family on the same land, the original homestead.
That is amazing.
Was it 3 years ago, 4 years ago now? So we're at about 154 continuous years
Wow.
farming.
Something to be very proud of.
Yeah. It's been an interesting journey. And when we had that celebration, which you guys helped us with that, when we did that celebration, it was probably the best part, besides all the people coming and all of that, was going back through and collecting all of the old history of the generations and passing it down, and the legacy that was brought over as they came over
From
Norway and,
Okay.
and Sweden.
You brought it back that far.
Yeah.
There's some people that I know of, like they literally said you can go get 40 acres or something. Is it back to that far?
Yeah, it
Your
was.
farmstead?
Yeah, the original homestead, that original 160 acres, we have it all the way back. We have actual copies of the pages of where they signed in
Wow.
on Ellis Island, and how the journey they took through the Great Lakes into Wisconsin, and then oxing
Gosh.
across and ended up in northwest Minnesota.
How about that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they were in Wisconsin for a while, and then they kept traveling to northwest Minnesota, and
They like the cold.
well, they were Scandinavian, so
Tough.
it was
Strong.
that area looked a lot like Norway.
Sure.
I mean, at that time with the
Interesting,
lakes
yeah.
and the rivers and the trees, and
What about the temperature?
I think it's similar. I mean, I
Comparable?
don't think winter was the hardship for them like maybe people coming from more southern climates. So it was very interesting to go back and see all that history and see some of the documents and old pictures.
So is this on your dad's side, or your?
My father's side,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So it stayed. Okay. Son to son. Was there a son-in-law in there?
There
ever,
was a
or daughter?
son-in-law in
Okay.
there.
Okay.
So it was actually a grandmother that homesteaded, because her son had passed away on the journey. So it was her daughter-in-law and their two young boys. They weren't old enough to homestead,
Sure.
so she did.
Yep.
Then they took over,
Okay.
and then from there, and then both sides of my grandfather's family had homesteads or family farms. My grandfather married and stayed on her side's homestead,
Okay.
which is
I got it. I
where I'm at
understand.
now.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
A lot of history there.
A lot of history.
Yeah.
It was fun to go back and look and see how many families in the area you were related to.
Oh, sure.
That you don't necessarily consider being related to,
Right.
but you start going back 3-4 generations.
Right. Yeah.
That's the only people that were there. They
Right,
had to marry
right,
within
right,
those families.
right.
So it was interesting. All the neighbors,
thought about that.
coming over
Sure, yeah.
for the 150th. And it's like, well, technically,
Yeah.
we're all family here. So that was fun.
Did you ever have a situation or hear of a situation where a daughter or a son came home and they said, sorry, honey, you can't marry that one because that one is your first cousin or your second cousin, or?
Well, I think there were stories like
Oh,
that,
sure.
but I also think there were some marriages where second, third they were probably related, but not in the same communities.
Sure. Right.
They didn't know anybody
Right.
else.
Right.
So,
well, we're all related somehow
right.
anyway. So,
Yes.
really in the whole scope of things.
I mean, second, third cousin type of situation
Right.
through marriage.
Right.
I know there's some of that.
So was it more crop farming or was it more animal farming, like beef?
Well, I think if you go back even to my grandfather, that was early,
Mm-hmm.
40s, 50s type thing.
Mm-hmm.
They were more self-sufficient farmers. They weren't production agriculture like we see
Sure.
today. They had some milk cows. They had some pigs. They had
Self-sustainable.
chickens. Yeah, very much self-sufficient. Big gardens. My great-grandmother was known for trading with the Indians on the Buffalo River.
Oh, that's so cool.
That came down the Buffalo River
Yeah.
and trading with them.
Yep. So cool.
So it was a lot. It was a lot harder work. That was the days for my grandfather. That was the days of the threshing machines, the big threshing crews coming in, the Ponderosa farms in the Red River Valley
Wow.
type, and then my dad kind of started to convert more to production type agriculture. He still had cattle, but that wasn't the focus. Crops became more the
Sure.
focus.
When you say production, that just simply means like production meaning more of you're producing more.
Yeah, I mean, production agriculture, or what we see farming today, it's not sustainability type farming. It's producing for the mass market. There are some farms that still are more sustainable, but for the most part, production agriculture, we're out there trying to get the best yields we can,
You got to pay bills.
Well, and that's the hard thing. I think that's where people don't necessarily understand what farming has become.
Sure.
And how it is more. We were talking a little bit where it used to be, it was a lifestyle. And it still is, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a unique lifestyle. It's a wonderful lifestyle.
So when you talk about like sustainable farming or a way of life, that's compared to like production farming, is that how you referred to it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the word that is kind of used in today's society, production agriculture, and we're not raising a few pigs, and I mean, some do, but for the most part, especially in our area, it's big farms.
Right.
It's big land. It's big equipment. If you're not growing, you're dying. Farming is a way of life, but I think that's changing. And lifestyle and a way of life. I mean, I love what I do. Not every day, but nobody goes to work every day loving every aspect of their job.
Right.
But for me, I find it very gratifying, very humbling, knowing that I get to do a lot of different things. I may not be good at them, but I still get to do them. I can be a mechanic, I can be a agronomist, I can be a equipment operator, a truck driver.
Yep.
I've had beef cattle for 20 years. So you get to wear, every day is different.
Different hat. Very diversified
Very.
in your knowledge.
I get up every day during the planting and growing season, and I might have the best plan in the world for exactly how my day is going to go.
Okay.
And then 5 minutes later, just start over every half hour. And that's the good and the bad. That's the stress and the fun.
You have to adapt.
Yeah. I mean, you're constantly learning and growing and understanding new things. And technology has become such a big part of agriculture now. I mean, GPS, auto steer, computers controlling your equipment.
Right.
Physically, farming has gotten a lot easier.
Sure.
Just like the vehicles we drive. The cabs are more comfortable.
Sure,
It's
Yep.
controls at your fingertips, things like that.
Yep.
It doesn't take away from the long days. It doesn't take away
Right.
from the stress that comes with farming. So, but it's different, you know. I mean, how hard my grandpa had to work,
Right. Right.
and then Dad was probably a little easier. Now, it's maybe a lot easier. You know,
Sure.
we're not shocking wheat and
So when you say it's easier, you're thinking like maybe the physical aspect
the
of it.
physical aspect of it.
But to me, just listening to you and not being a farmer, I think, I mean, I get in these, big tractors and I'm like, well, where do you even begin with that? I mean, that must be intimidating. As you get older, I mean, I have to say it myself that, it's hard to adapt and to change to some of that stuff. You know the outcome, but to get there can be a little bit intimidating.
And I think that's what's changed so much is that while farming used to be a physical game,
Sure.
now it's a whole different way of learning. It's a different way of doing things. And for previous generations, that is some of the trouble that they have. Because how do you explain to your 80
Sure.
or so year old father, as they get older,
Sure.
how to operate a piece of equipment?
Right.
Whereas before they got in and they just drove.
Right.
Now they can't even get it to operate.
Right.
And so it is. I mean, and that's the hard part about
It's-
passing it on
Yes,
and the
yes,
legacy thing,
yes.
because
Yeah.
technology,
Right.
I'm the first to admit, my wife works in a profession where she's using technology a lot.
Sure. Sure.
Email, all that kind of stuff. I don't.
Right.
But yet I've had to learn a lot of other technology that is kind of scary and intimidating. And, it's the GPS and the computer controls in this equipment. And it makes it harder to fix.
Right.
Before you lifted the engine of
Right, sure.
of a
Yeah,
vehicle
yeah.
and you knew exactly what everything
Right,
was.
yeah.
Now you look and go,
Right.
I don't even
Yeah.
know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you think that, can you imagine what your 80-year-old, dad or grandpa,
right. Well,
think
and
about that?
then it becomes very challenging.
Correct. Yeah.
Where even, I mean, it's always the running joke, like our kids, our grandkids, they can set up
Right. Give our
technology. They're
3-year-old
whipping their
grandchild
phones
a-
and their game
Yeah.
things
Yeah, yeah.
and tablets.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
take that
Yeah.
to that next level, and
Right.
they can figure it out easier than I can.
Right. Right.
And every generation, it's harder.
So is progression, is it good? I mean, are you happy with, or is it just something that's like, if you're not growing, you're dying, so you just have to kind of jump on board if you like it or not, type of thing? Or has it kind of taken the love of it out?
I think what's really been lost, or what's being lost, is that lifestyle, way of life component. It's becoming a business. You aren't, it's not personal. I mean,
Sure.
having to grow isn't easy to do. Expansion's not easy. It's very competitive. Land prices are very high. Everybody has to make money. More technology. It takes the personal aspect out of
Sure,
it. There's less families in a rural community.
The word that's coming to my mind is negotiating. Like you have to negotiate prices. You have to negotiate the rent of the land, the cost of different things like that. Is that something?
And I think you touch on an interesting part of the business aspect of farming, and that is, as a business owner, you know what your cost is of something coming in. You know what your labor costs are.
Yes.
You know what your equipment costs are. So you set your price.
Correct. Accordingly.
So that you're hopefully profitable. As a farmer, I don't get to set the price of what I buy. I don't get set the price of my inputs. I get what, yes, there's ways to get it cheaper, but
Sure.
there's still, a price is a price.
Right.
And I don't get to determine what I sell my product for. So where in that business model can I say, well, I can't sell my corn for $4
Right.
because my profit margin, I have to be at $4.50. Well, if corn is only at $3.60, I have to pay bills.
Right.
I can't hold on to it. And so I think that's where it's changed from lifestyle to business.
Got it. Sure.
Years ago, I was on the school board, and we chose to eliminate the ag education
Department. Type of area.
and I got a lot of
Feedback.
negative feedback about, as a farmer, how could you do that? And my reasoning, and we're seeing it even more
Excuse
now.
me. So your constituents, you were on the board. Your constituents were angry with you that you dropped it.
Yes.
Okay. You
A
and the
lot
board.
of the farmers, with their kids, like, how can you get rid of FFA and ag education and those kind of things? And I said, agriculture, small engine repair, agronomy, plant pathology, those kinds of things. Well, you can teach that. That isn't what these kids, even if they're going into taking over family farms or want to get into
I
agriculture,
understand. Okay.
they're going to learn that on the farm.
Sure. Sure.
They need classes and education in marketing, in finance, in computer technology,
Wow. Yes.
because
okay.
that's where farming is going.
Okay.
Farming isn't going back to fixing a little Briggs and Stratton engine.
Sure. Okay.
Farming isn't.
How
There's
did-
plenty of places you can get the information on how we know how plants grow. That isn't the
Right,
science
right.
behind it.
So, I mean, you can understand why some people, I mean, I would be on board with being like, well, what did you drop FFA for? Initially, before you explained it to
Absolutely.
me. How did you explain that then to your constituents?
Exactly like I just did.
Okay, and did they understand it?
Yeah,
And-
I mean, I
okay.
think at that time, we switched more to construction trades. We added, we went in just a little bit different direction. There were still the same hands-on type classes, but calling it ag education just wasn't.
It didn't sit right with you.
Well,
That word.
it's a lot of money, and
Right.
the other fact of it is most of the kids, the percentage of kids that are growing up on farms and are going to go into farming is a very small percentage.
Sure.
So if you're spending X amount of budget on something that's only reaching a dozen kids
Sure,
or
from the at the
15
school
kids
district
at the
level.
school district level, aren't we better off switching gears a little bit? And I think that's the problem agriculture faces and small family farms is we are now becoming multiple generations away from any farm background. 2 generations ago, everybody's family knew somebody that farmed. They had an
Sure.
uncle, or they went to grandpa's house in the
Right.
summer,
Or the neighbor.
Neighbors.
Right.
They saw it at some level.
Sure.
Now, I mean, we've all seen the stories. You ask kids, where'd your food come from?
Right. Where's the eggs come from?
Walmart.
Milk. Right.
Not to, or grocery store.
Right.
It's the same. It's the battle of people understanding.
So you did explain this very well for our listeners to understand. So when I think of like sustainable farming, I think of this young couple that they want to make like sourdough bread. They want to have a milk cow. We want to have garden. We want to go back to what it was like 80 years ago, like, what we were talking about, like where your
Yep.
farm originated from. So that's the farming that a lot of people have in their head that they have never, that they want. I think we're all kind of looking for that farm life, having 10 chickens. I have some of my daughter-in-law, she's just so excited. She wants to get like 10 chickens, and I think that's cool. I think it's great that people want to introduce that to their children and stuff. Your explanation of it is totally different than that mindset. So of what you explained of your production ag. So bridging that gap between the mindsets. I mean, I have to say, I am part of the sustainable farming, the small.
As we plant garden. My wife is trying to perfect her sourdough bread right now.
Yep.
She started her own starter and she's doing all
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And we want to eat healthier. We want to do more of that.
Right.
For that young couple, the problem becomes how can they afford to get into that? Now, if you're just going to have some chickens and a garden, that's okay.
And work outside of the home.
And work outside the home.
Property taxes.
But if you almost have to.
Right.
I mean,
Sure.
So even to the point where I can only talk my own personal.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I have 3 children,
Yep.
a daughter and 2 sons. One is in the area, as you well know, and 2 are not. Both of my sons are not in the area. They both have careers and jobs that they love. If someone was to ask me today, I would give it less than a 3% chance that there will be a 7th generation on our family farm.
And
That we will not sell land, but there probably is not going to be a 7th generation actively farming it.
I'm going to stop you right there too, because there's so many questions that I have. First of all, this is really tough, and I'm, for you, I'm sure of it. So I want to make sure that, the listeners, you're not saying, you're adapting, you're going with it. It's not that you want these directions to happen. It's happening with or without you.
It's happening with or without me.
So when you're talking about now that you can't have this 7th generation, or you more than likely, like you said, you actually put it into percentage of 3% that it's going to happen. How does that make you feel?
I think over the last probably 3 or 4 years, since the 150th, I've started to come
To terms?
to grasp the concept. And I mean, believe me, I know the loss. I understand the history. But the way farming is now, I'm not big enough to sustain. And going forward, the only way that I think it could be sustainable would be if they would have to, if we'll say they're married, they would have to have outside jobs, and they would become hobby farmers trying to do it at night and on the weekend.
Even at your level?
Yes.
Even at your large level? Because you would
Yes.
be considered large.
In our area, I would be considered small. In some parts of the country, I'd be considered large.
Sure.
But it's just the fact.
How many acres do you have?
I have about 1,200
That's
tillable.
Yeah, that's pretty large.
But I'm surrounded by 3, 4, 5, 10, 15,000.
That own
Rent.
own or rent 10 or 15,000 acres. So I think what I want just to, to have a greater understanding, and, our viewers to have a greater understanding too. Sometimes you hear this, the farmers keep getting bigger, and, I can understand why people say that, but
Absolutely.
but then here at the other token, you have this 6th generation farm that is not going to be at 1,200 acres, that's been very successful, that's not going to be able to make it to that next plateau because they're not big enough.
Correct.
Because of what is in place of, you don't get to pick your price, you don't get to, of what you sell, and you don't get to buy it at.
Well, and just by scale, equipment is getting bigger. Therefore, it's getting more expensive.
Sure.
It's very hard to justify if you look at the price. And I mean, I've never bought new equipment.
Sure.
I'm happy with the used equipment if I can afford it. But I'm probably 2 or 3 model years advancements behind. But the cost per acre is so high. You don't have, and there's no way to, we joke about this all the time, but the simple fact is my wife can have the best job in the world. She's never going to make enough money to cover farm expense. I mean, just the sheer dollars that goes through. You just try to hope that at the end there's a few left over. And I think, and if you don't have help, you know, a lot of these farms, and I can only talk in my area, that have gotten bigger, they're multiple generation. They've got boys, and they've continued to grow with the idea that they're adding more mouths to feed, right? That land has to support.
Sure, right.
And when I say it couldn't be done for our family, it could be, and maybe it will be. But it looks a lot harder for my retirement.
Right.
And for them to be successful, because I'm not going to put them in a position where they could fail.
Right.
I mean, that's as a father.
Right. Well, as another human being.
You know, as a father, I mean, I'm not going to do that. If they, and that's why we haven't had a big push. The farm is going to be there. I'm not ready to retire yet anyway.
Right.
So go do your thing. If you find out you just feel drawn to come back like I did, then we'll talk about it.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I think that's the, you know, and I got out of cattle, and I had stayed in cattle maybe longer than I wanted to, only because I thought, well, if one of the boys did decide they wanted to come back, cattle would be the easiest. I have plenty of pasture. They could have their job, help on the farm, kind of ease into it with cattle and things like that. Now I decided that I like leaving in the winter and not having to worry about things.
Sure, I totally
Even if it's
get
for
it.
4 or 5 days, like we met up, you know, met each other at random in Florida.
Yeah, so I have to tell our viewers this. This was super cool. We were down in Florida, us Minnesotans getting away from the cold. And we were both in I was just shopping, having a good time, and you were in the same shop, and we both turned around at the same time. And I don't know what I looked like when I looked at you. Of what is the chances that us, you know, meeting at the same time, the same place,
in a random shop, in a random spot in Florida.
I have a feeling you would not have been in that shop had your wife not dragged you in
Very
there
true.
because it was a boutique. So I would have never thought I was going to see Bryan Anderson in this boutique.
And of course now my wife and I just talked about this last night a little bit. And of course the funny part too is she's in another part of the little store.
I remember
All
that.
she sees is me hugging a blonde
in a boutique.
In a boutique, and her thinking, who the heck is he hugging and talking to
I leave him
here?
for 10 minutes or 5 minutes,
Right.
10 feet away.
And then, of course, she knew it. She laughed. But it was just that random.
It was so cool. It was
random
so cool.
thing. So
well, and when we go to Florida, I don't know how you were, but I think right before I left the boutique, I had probably had, I think, a glass of wine or perhaps a drink of some sort.
There's usually adult beverages involved in Florida, yes. Or anywhere we go in the winter to get away from the cold.
We were both very happy too.
Yes, there was a brewery just around the corner up the street that I think we may have been at.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was really special. Yeah, And I always think when I get away, you know, out of the area, then I can like kind of relax and, you know, and yeah, no,
Well,
not a
because there is
chance.
that pressure of, you know, when you're in the area as a business
Right.
owner, as,
Yeah.
you know, as people
Right.
in the community that
Right.
are
Yeah.
pretty recognizable,
Right. Right.
you sometimes tend to not want to be
Yeah.
recognizable
Yeah.
in certain
In a
ways.
negative way.
Right.
Well, you know what? You just leave it to me, and I'll figure out how to somehow, manage to entertain a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was our funny story.
Yeah, that was a good story. From now on, we have to tell each other like when we're going to go and where
Yeah.
we're going to be going. Or do you have something planned for this cruise or anything this winter, or nothing?
We had a
quite
cruise
yet?
this winter, but we haven't planned anything for this next one. We're still trying to figure out coming to grips with our middle son, who is in North Carolina
Oh, okay.
now. And so we're trying to figure out going there, and
Making it all kind of.
is that warm enough
Sure.
to be nice enough to get away
I think
for
it
a
is.
week and
Yeah.
and things like that. So we're still trying to figure out that, and grandkids and
Lots of fun.
things, you know, there's lots of ideas.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then,
but to make it work.
right, to make it work, and then to find the money to make
Yeah,
it work
ain't
is
that the
always a
truth.
challenge as well. So
Well, I'm going to bring it back here. We got a little distracted
Yeah.
there for a second. I'm going to bring it to the sustainable farming. So
Mm-hmm.
we've kind of talked about the, what do you call that? Production agriculture?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's kind of like the larger production agriculture. That's the larger part of it. Okay, so then the sustainable farming, because that's kind of a really big thing that, you know, we interact with people at
Sure.
the meat processing plant, you know, just having like, you know, 5 beef,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but both of them having full-time jobs. You know, there's also different levels of like sustainable, you know, very, you know, having your 1 acre or 5 acres or whatever, and 1 cow and, you know, 40 chickens, and really doing the sustainable farming of really small, and, you know, there's different levels of that. What do you think, or what do you suggest with something like that?
well, I
for,
think
for people to keep that love, like what you talked
I mean,
about
I
with your
think
grandpa.
I think for that lifestyle, and that want to understand, there's a lot of work involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and start out small.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to maybe your neighbor that has had some cattle.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to your neighbor that has raised some pigs,
Mm-hmm.
and understand. Don't necessarily just say, "Oh, well, we bought an acreage,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to have chickens, and we want to have pigs, and we want to have our own cows, and we're going to put up a little bit of grass hay, and we're going to do all this." Understand at first you're going to think, "Well, this is easy. It's only going to cost me a few hundred here
Sure.
and a couple hundred here, and I can buy this tractor, and I can do all this."
Right, yep,
Maybe talk to some people that have done it.
okay,
Don't necessarily rely on pulling out your phone and your laptop and going on YouTube to watch videos of how to make a pen, or do that. You know, talk to people that have dealt with it
get the understanding.
and understand. You know, go to their place and see. Make sure you understand the work, and that if you have livestock, understand the concept. If you have livestock, you're going to have dead stock. You know, not everything is sunshine and roses.
Sure.
You're going to lose animals. It's no farmer wants to. No livestock
Yeah.
producer wants to.
Right,
But it happens.
yeah,
And you have to be prepared for that. You have to be prepared for the day they break down the fence. You have to be prepared for the days they get out. You know, not just, you have to be prepared for, are you keeping them year round? Because now you have to be prepared for, do you have a way to keep that water tank or that waterer
Sure.
open when it's 20 below?
right,
I mean, it's all those things that it's easy to say, "Oh, we're going to get 20 chickens."
I love the idea.
Oh.
I love it.
My
wanna wear a
wife,
dress.
My wife is the queen of the idea.
Right, I love it.
But then comes the time where you have to go out and get the eggs,
Sure,
or butcher chickens,
Sure, right, yeah.
and that's getting harder and harder
sure, yeah,
to find someone to do that.
right, yeah,
and so research your dream,
Sure.
or your dream will face reality and become a nightmare really fast.
So-
and you'll be out of a lot of money.
So accept reality, accept the facts, understand it, and then so just a really good,
And just
educated
do research
research.
of people that are living it. Understand how much if you're going to put in 20 tomato plants, understand how much work that is to can all of that. It's, yes, I wanted to make my own salsa and my own
Right.
spaghetti
Right.
sauce and all
Right.
that.
Right.
Okay, are you ready to do that and do the work and buy the jar? I mean,
Right. Yeah.
it's easy to say, and I think that's what's been lost. Is a lot of these, we're starting to see people kind of go back now. Oh, we want to be more sustainable. We want to have a garden. We want to do that. But boy, real fast it becomes, well, I can get that jar of spaghetti sauce for $4 at the
Right.
grocery store, and it costs me $6 and a lot of work to make it myself. It's better, but
The reality.
be expectant of the reality of the work.
And you're not steering anybody away.
No.
That's not. In fact, you have a heart of a farmer.
I mean,
I know you do.
I'd love to see more people doing it.
Sure.
But I also have seen the opposite of people that move in the country. They get a little acreage and they put a couple horses on it, or they put a couple calves on it, and then they don't have hay.
Oh, yeah.
And then they show up saying, hey, you got plenty. Can I just have a couple bales?
Yeah.
Well, okay. You give them a price,
Sure.
and all of a sudden you're just
Right.
terrible.
Right. Right.
Raising livestock, we sold quite a few beef over the years to people directly. And you face it every day, having a small butcher shop, a small
Meat market.
meat market. People will go buy the worst beef for a certain price, but then when they come to you and they want to buy half an animal, and you give them the price, and they get the price to process it, then all of a sudden
Right.
they're complaining. Well, you got to make that much money, or
yeah.
why is your hamburger? Why am I paying that much?
Right. When I can get it at Walmart for.
Right. When I can
Right.
get it at wherever. Okay. Good for you.
Sure.
I have more into it than that.
Right.
But it's that mentality of, well, and you see this, I think, a lot in rural area, people that move from cities or move out into the country. All of a sudden they have a longer driveway. They don't have a way to clean the driveway. So here they go to the local farmer or the neighbor. Well, you've got a tractor with a snowblower on it, and you've got a skid steer. Can you come blow our driveway? Well, I can, but
Diesel is
here's
not
how
cheap.
much I'm gonna
Right.
charge.
Right.
Well,
Right.
what does it cost? And I think that's what's changed. I think years ago, I see it even myself. I used to take care of neighbors' driveways, and you did it, and maybe they gave you a little something,
Sure.
and that was fine.
Right.
You were being neighborly.
Right.
But then as it goes on, expectations can start to
Sure.
grow,
Yeah.
and
You just expected it.
they
then.
expect it, and they don't think it costs you anything. Well, all of a sudden now they want it done at 5 in the morning, or, and I'm not saying this about any of my neighbors.
Right,
Understand,
right,
this is just,
yeah.
but that's kind of what's happened. Or, oh, well, you've got a skid steer. Can I just borrow it for the weekend?
Yeah.
Well, how much would it cost you to go rent a
Rent
skid
it.
steer for the
Right.
weekend?
Right. Right.
But that's that mentality people come out there. So people getting into the sustainability and all of that, don't just watch YouTube videos.
Sure.
Maybe go somewhere that they have a garden and help them for a few Saturday afternoons weeding and taking care of it. And you'll find out that maybe you don't like being out there in 90 degrees
Right.
and mosquitoes
Yeah. On a
pulling weeds
Saturday
on a
afternoon.
Saturday afternoon.
When there's a wedding
you-
that you like to be going to, or another
Or there's a
function.
lake, or there's a lake
Lake
that you
calling your
want to go
name.
sit at, or a
Right.
establishment along a
Right.
lake that you
Right.
want to go sit at.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think that's the first thing. The second is they need to, because if you do your research and you talk to people, you'll find out that a lot of farmers will be very helpful.
Right.
If they think you're true and honest, and they'll maybe help you get started a little bit.
Yeah.
I've gotten out of cattle now. I sold my cattle to a young man and his wife that grew up with my kids. He really wanted to get into farming. And the only way is they wanted to start raising some cattle. So I gave him a discount
Yep.
to get him started. I knew where my animals were going to go. That made me feel good.
Right.
And yes, I've helped him with, he maybe borrows a piece of equipment, or I do some
Sure, right.
work for him. Because if he doesn't have that, if you don't have some of that help,
Right. Right.
it's,
right.
you better have very, very, very good jobs, because it's just expensive. I think that people don't understand how expensive
I think you've
things are.
explained it very, very well. The other component that I think about, and you and I are past this stage now in our life, but just starting out and starting a little young family or whatever. I think it's you don't have to be big into it, but I just think that the idea of having maybe a couple pigs or 10, 15, 20 chickens, so you can introduce that farm life, that there is death, that you're
Oh, absolutely.
Hank isn't gonna live forever, or
Kids learning the hard work of working in a garden.
right.
Just that whole taking care of livestock, that understanding where food comes from and what it takes to produce that food. It gives you a sense of value.
Right.
And I think that's what's lost
Yes.
a lot today for all levels of farming, whether it's the vegetables and things in the western part of and southern part of the country, and the
Yep.
fruit, to soybeans, corn, and wheat, and
Sure.
barley.
Right.
I think there's that disconnect. So there's a loss of value, not understanding what it takes. They just drive by and say, oh, there's another, look at that farmer. He's got 2 pickups and these big equipment
Sure.
and all this
Right.
stuff and all
Right.
this land. Why should he maybe making so much money when I
Right.
go to work? And well, understand, he probably doesn't own it.
Right.
The bank is getting a big chunk of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's what it takes. And for young families, we've both been there. There's no money. Unfortunately, it's not until that's
Right.
why do they say grandparents spoil their grandkids,
Right,
and
right.
the kids say, "Well,
I didn't get that.
you didn't do that for us. We didn't
Right,
get to go do
yeah.
that." Well, that's because we had you, and you were taking all of our money.
So
But that's it. It sounds, but it's true.
yeah, so it does sound a little bit brutal, with the no money part, but I think that's everywhere, and I think
Oh,
that's one
absolutely.
component that I think we should have more open dialogue of, saying, hey, I can't afford that, or we don't have the money to do that, and maybe if you do choose to do the sustainable living, and you do buy a chunk of land and you get into pigs, or a little, get 5 or 6 or 10 pigs or whatever, or milk, 1 cow or whatever it is that you want to do, maybe not jump into it full time, and just bring that or introduce that to your family, to the children, where you can maybe keep working, you can still have that love of what you're talking about, because I think it's really cool.
Well, and I think when you talk about the sustainability part, that can be done by even a lot of people that even live in town now. You can have a little pot garden.
Sure.
You
Raised
can have a
garden.
couple of
Yes.
raised garden
Yes.
beds.
Yes.
You can still instill that sustainable country living responsibility and accountability to your kids and to your family you don't need 100 head of beef cat. You don't need
Right.
160 acres
Right.
and a line of equipment
Right.
and,
Right.
25 cows. Because believe me,
Yep.
it becomes a very costly, start out if you really think you want to have a steer. So you buy a steer and you fence off and you think you have enough and find out
Right.
it's one. Of course, the way the price is right now, it's,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
but even for
Getting higher.
pigs, I mean,
Right.
just understand you can feed them scraps but if you want to get a decent quality animal, it's going to cost you about as much as you're going to get per pound out of that if you sell one. With beef, we always looked at it as, well, if we sold a couple, we got ours processed for free.
Right.
With pigs,
Right.
you are going to cover the cost of what it
Right.
costs to raise the
Right.
pig.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
why they have to be in such big
Yeah.
facilities. But
Have you ever thought about, like, you own the 1,200 acres. So have you ever thought of like portioning it out and like renting, like, let's say an acre, 4 acres, 5 acres, renting it out to a young family that perhaps maybe they're, just
to build a house?
No,
Or just,
no,
to like have a garden?
Yes,
and
yeah. Or these community gardens are popping up all over the place, and I think that is so cool. Okay, so you plant the seed. I remember even as an adult, young mom, I would take the kids out and we would, we planted it. They're coming up. The little green sprouts
absolutely.
are coming up. I think it's like way more than a classroom education, that watching this. And then,
I think I would consider doing that. I have land that I could rent if they wanted to pasture it or if they wanted to, put a garden or something. I think in our area, it's not as, because there's lots of places.
Sure.
We still kind of live in an area where somebody in their family has a spot that if they
Sure,
really
if they
want to
really
do
wanted
it, they
to.
can.
yeah,
The challenge of some of that too, though, is liability. You're opening up your land now, and now you've got people
Right.
coming and going
Right.
and going and coming, and
Right.
sometimes you don't always want them to see everything that you're doing. And
right. Well, like you said, liability, just opening it up. There's
but
always.
I mean, I have to pay the insurance, but that doesn't go through my head.
Right.
It's something that,
Right.
if someone approached me and said, "Hey, do you think you could we could till it up
Right.
and we could have a garden there?" And
Right. Because I'm just thinking about like you had said, and you've stated this a couple times, like bridging that gap. I mean, obviously, I totally understand it, and you were so well versed on explaining it to just me, just the average person of.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you did. You did a very good job on it, because sometimes people are like, well, what do they have to keep getting bigger for? Why do they have to buy more land or rent more land? Well, it's because either you got to grow or you're dying. I mean, and that's kind of for anything. I mean, even as a small business owner, I think, if you're not getting more educated, training in some way, if you're not buying something a little or redoing it, or even just painting or, new flooring of some sort in a business, if you're not growing, you're dying. Even if it's a small little step. Well, it's the same way, I suppose, in farming, too. I mean.
Well, and I think I want to put a break in there from the standpoint that when I talk about, like, in our area, a lot of these are still family farms. And it's the father, and they have 2 or 3 sons or 4 or 5 sons or daughters.
Sure.
And they're getting into it. Well, now they have families. So if you say it takes today's world 1,000 acres, that's how much a family. Now, I'd argue that it's probably more than that now.
Sure, right.
But, well, if you add another family,
Now you need 2,400 acres.
now you've got to double or triple. If you have to, and now you triple. Well, if you have to hire somebody, how many acres do you have to get a net return to pay for the employee? So it's a catch-22 because you have more mouths to feed. You have to have more acres. The idea of you can only make an acre produce so much.
Right.
And that's, out of your shop, you are doing a tremendous job. But if 3 more family members came and said,
Right.
we all want to,
Right.
you know, you're like, can we triple capacity?
That's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's like you can only
Right.
do,
Right.
you can do everything you can, but at some point, that facility, you can only do so much out
Right.
of it. An acre of land can only raise so many head. An acre of land can only produce so much. And that's where the getting,
Right.
as it gets more expensive to farm, you have to have more acres because your net return doesn't change.
Right.
Everything has gone up except income, or I mean, net income.
Net income. So biggest thing, takeaway that I want to, from our conversation, anybody that does, you're not saying don't.
No, I would encourage everybody I talk to to do it.
To get into the farming.
It's healthier, it's better, and it will help you understand on the
Right.
sustainability side.
Right. Right.
Now, to get into regular agriculture, farming, it's not possible.
Okay.
It just is not financially. No young couple is going to be able to go out and invest. Say they wanted to start with 500 acres. Well, right now, ag land is selling between 8,500 and 9,500 an acre. And then you need equipment. There's not too many young people that are going to be able, if they don't have family or some way of getting into it, where are you
Right.
going to come up with
Right.
the $7 or $8 million you need
multi-million
to
dollars
get
is what
started?
you're going to need to get into.
And then you can't make the payments. And so, but for sustainability and for little call it hobby farms, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way,
Right.
but do they want to have a couple steers, or they want
Sure,
to start with some
absolutely.
chickens and a pig, or I'm all for it.
Yeah. I
Because
just love it.
the more people that do that,
Right.
the more understanding there is
Right.
for what farming is and what it takes.
Yep.
And it makes them smarter at the store. It makes them understand why. And I'm sure you hear it just like I have over the years selling beef to people. You hear people come in and say, oh, geez, they're proud of their stuff. Or they think something's, oh, he's proud of his hay,
Right.
whatever it is. If they had to do it,
Right. You'd be
they'd
proud of it.
understand why.
Right.
Well, and they'd understand why
Yeah.
you charge what
Yeah.
you do, because you perfected the recipes.
Yeah.
You did the work.
Yep. Yep.
And it's worth something.
Yeah, I got to tell you a story. It could be perceived as sad, but I took it as, it just melted my heart. He was probably about 14 years old. Brought young man, brought his beef into the meat market, and of course, the name was T-bone, because it's either A1 or T-bone. I don't know why.
Ribeye, sirloin.
Yeah, it was T-bone, and he was so proud that he had raised that up. He knew the date that he got that little calf. He knew, the birthday. He knew everything all the way along the whole path of this T-bone. And it just made me I was so engulfed in this story. And he had a little bit of a lisp that made it so much cuter. It was just so adorable. And he wasn't sad. He just said it was just the way it was. This T-bone he did it so that, he raised this animal, and then he had no problem with, eating the hamburger, and it was just, he was so proud of what he had done. And every morning he had, changed.
Did his chores.
Yes,
and,
made sure it had, whatever it needed, water and feed, and just loved on this animal so much, on this beef. And I just think that's so cool.
Well, and it
child.
is, but yet he also learned and understood what the end game was.
Yes. Yes.
And that's why I said, for people to understand.
Right. Yeah.
You can get those. I think one time I was in the shop and you asked me if I named them. I'm like, we never named any of them. I mean, we had a lot of names for them, none of which I can repeat here, but never,
They step on your foot.
because,
God dang it.
well, they bust through a fence and we chase them or
Oh, yeah.
whatever.
Right.
But in
These are
July.
the things that
Right.
you want people to understand
Right.
that's going to happen. I got it.
Understand.
I understand.
But that's why I said, but understand that they're not pets. Your chickens, if you have egg-laying chickens, they can be your pets.
And treat them well
And you can
give them good
and
conditions.
you treat them well, and the cattle you'll treat well. But understand what the end game is.
Sure, right.
If you have a cow that you're going to have a calf every year, that's a little different. But understand that it's an end game, and I think that gets lost sometimes.
Sure.
People with agriculture and farming, and sometimes we get a knock like, "Oh, you don't care about our environment, and you're using fertilizers," and and everybody. I saw a saying one time. It said, an old farmer said, "I'm not an environmental activist. I'm an active environmentalist."
Oh, love it.
And the distinction there is pretty obvious, but nobody cares more about their animals. Nobody cares more about their land than a farmer, because
Yeah.
that's our livelihood.
Yeah.
Now, I understand some of these big corporate, and that was the distinction I started to make, is that you have family farms that are growing. Don't confuse those with the corporate farms
Sure.
that I have no time of day for.
Okay.
You know, I think they're the bane of rural America.
Yep.
They're not doing any favors to keep families out on the farm.
Right.
They're not doing any favors to small time agriculture.
Yeah.
They're driving prices up and getting bigger and bigger and can't ever get enough, at the detriment of small farms
farmers.
and family farms. And I think that's where it's changed from a lifestyle to
So, okay, so I
business.
think I want to have this very clear then. So the sustainable, from what I understand, sustainable is like your small hobby, just doing it for,
sustainable agriculture. I consider myself sustainable agriculture from the standpoint that I want the soil to be renewed every year. I want to rotate crops. I want
Sure.
to take care of the land
okay, yep,
and be productive. But when we're saying it in this sense, sustainable, and you're talking about a small family that has a couple acres
10,
out
20
in the country,
chickens,
yep,
couple pigs.
that's a totally different.
Okay,
I don't consider that necessarily farming
okay,
from the standpoint of,
from your perspective, probably.
well, I mean, I farm. Oh, really? What do you do? Well, I've got 10 chickens and a pig. Okay.
That would be me. I would
and-
say I'm a farmer. I would have my muck boots on and I would buy bib overalls.
And that's fantastic.
And I am a farmer today.
But understand, that's not going. You're not harvesting wheat and corn. Some of that.
Okay.
And the sustainable part, though, which is why I said the reality of it is, make sure you understand what the reality of that vision that you have in your
Right,
head
right.
is really going to be.
Right.
Because I can sit and say, "Oh, I've got no problems being a butcher," but if I've never done it, or I've never been in there when that's happening,
Right.
reality may slap
Right.
me in the face
Right.
really fast.
Right. Yep.
Coming out on an active working farm is probably going to be or cattle ranch
Sure.
is going to be a real awakening for some of these city people
Right.
that move out in the country, and then they
Right.
complain about the dust on the gravel roads, and they
Right.
complain about the smell of manure
Right.
being
Right.
spread.
Right.
That's the part where
Right. Yeah.
I encourage more of them to do it, but understand the reality.
Yep. Yep. Very nicely put. Very, very nicely put.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I've learned a lot. I have learned a lot. This has been a great conversation. I think that more people need to talk about, because I'm probably one of those people that you're referring to that would just love to have a pig or 2 pigs and 10 chickens. And I would consider myself a farmer because I would buy muck boots,
And that's fine.
bib overalls. And I think you have been just so gracious on explaining things, but being honest and giving us the reality, but letting us be able to dream and have the idea too.
Well, of course. I mean, I wish everybody, follow that dream if that's what you want to do.
But again, like you
and
said,
set goals and do all that. But understand sometimes the dream in reality, they will come together with realistic.
sure. And I think it's not just farming. I think it can be for anything. You know, I want to buy this really big boat. And, you know, so maybe I might be able to buy that. Am I going to be able to keep up with the, you know, the payments?
Right.
You know, so it doesn't matter. Well, it's everywhere in life. I mean,
it's
you can
buying
dream
a house. It's buying,
right,
you know, how many people during COVID went out and bought ice castles and campers?
Sure.
And they were all going to, because all of a sudden they became, we're going to go camping.
Or exercising.
We
bought, all of us, we bought, you know, equipment, exercise
But
equipment.
I mean, especially when you look at, we're all going to go be camping because they had this big dream. We're out in nature and we're going to be together as a family. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
The liquor stores went up in price or increased in sales.
What ends up happening is then everybody gets to start doing things.
Yeah.
That camper never got used. They found out that first night out at the campfire with a smoky fire and mosquitoes and everything else. Right. It wasn't so much the dream clashed with reality.
That's a good way to put it. It really is.
And so, but and that's farming. It's the whole being outdoors, being in touch with that, and I encourage everybody to do that.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Just don't be that family that buys a puppy for their youngest at Christmas.
Oh, sure.
And then that puppy grows up.
Right.
And then they don't want the puppy anymore.
Right. Because they're gone all the time.
Because they realize how much work it is to take care of that puppy.
Yeah.
And I think that's with anything that you pursue in life. Do your research. You jump into something, understand the work that it takes to get there and to actually be sustainable with it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so thankful that you came on board. I think our viewers got a different insight into this, into farming. I hope they did.
Well, I hope so. I mean, like I said, I'm not here I wouldn't want to kill anybody's dreams. I mean, it's why I helped this young gentleman. Yep. Because I want to see it. If it's not going to be my son's, then maybe I can help him get started.
Yep.
And when I decide to retire, maybe he wants to rent some land or, I mean, it's community. It's being part of a bigger picture.
Right.
And I think we've lost a little bit of that with accountability and with just people get focused on, they don't know their neighbors. They don't know, in small communities, you have to.
Right, yeah.
Or you should.
Yeah.
And we've kind of gotten away from that. We don't know our neighbors. We don't want to know them. We pull out of our garage, go to work. Yep. We know some people there, but we don't even associate with them. Yep. Then they pull back in.
Yep.
Well, I have to tell you, Bryan, this is one of the reasons why I did start this Real Feel Insights, is just simply because of having these real conversations. And whatever it is, it's just real things, talking between each other, letting other people know that perhaps they're having the same issue or struggle that you're having, or thought processes, or whatever we said here, maybe it didn't work for somebody. Maybe it wasn't, they didn't take or glean anything from it. But that's the mission of this, is just to, the communicating, the relaying you laid your heart out, you
and I think when people
so well.
If someone's watching and they want to know somebody to talk to, no matter what topic it might be, for who you have, or if it's sustainable farming. I mean, I'm not an expert.
No.
But it's understanding that your thoughts might not be as strange.
Correct.
As you think they are.
Right. Correct.
Or they might not be as crazy and wild.
Right.
Or maybe they are, and you need to talk to somebody because reality is gonna, go out and buy 50 chickens and see how that works for you to start. Start with 5. Start with 6. Just to.
Yep.
But
this was a really good conversation.
I hope so.
Every minute.
I have too. It's been fun, and I mean, I enjoy talking about these kinds of things.
Because that's
I
what
enjoy.
you do.
I mean, Well, and it's faith, it's community, it's helping people. And any way you can do that is in my own little way, because I go to work and have board meetings with myself.
Sure. Yeah.
And I argue with myself, and I yell at myself, and I berate myself and call myself names. And I've fired myself more times in a day than you can count.
Then you hired yourself back.
but
That's funny. That's
along the
cute.
way, if you've learned a few things,
Right.
And I was just going to end with this one quick little thing you talked about. We touched a little bit about money and finances, and as a young family. And one of the things that we always did was we were always one pot.
Yep.
We were very honest with the kids.
Yep.
And said, hey, we're not doing that. We can't.
Right.
Here's what the price is. You can see it. I'll lay it out for you.
Right. Yep.
And I think more parents need to be more honest instead of keeping up with the Joneses, instead of keeping up with, this is the lifestyle. It's better that the kids understand
Sure. Right.
that it isn't so easy.
Right.
That there's bills to pay, and that if you're honest with them and maybe expect them to help a little, because there's times where it's going to be really good.
Right.
And then there's times it's not.
Right.
And that's where true that true relationship with your family and your community, nothing shines better than when, if you've been a good steward in your community, than if you fall on times where you really need something.
Yep. Support.
We hope we never do.
Right.
But generally you come to a point in your life, whether it's loss of a loved one, or your business is on hard times, or there's a natural disaster, or whatever
Right.
it is.
Yep.
You need people to rely on. I can only encourage people, be the person that is willing to be that person without ever expecting anything
Right.
in
Yep.
return to being that
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Be that person that helps.
Right.
Not because you're going to get something, not because of anything else, but just because it's the right thing to do.
If we had more people like you, Bryan, in the world, our world would be a whole lot better place.
There would be some that would argue with you on that for sure.
Perhaps. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
joining me on this.
It's been fun.
Yes.
Anytime.
Yep. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Yep. Thanks, Bryan.
You bet.